Welcome back to Wake and Wellness. We have the second episode of I'll say the pattern triplets pattern. So second we had assess your passion. So today and over the next 6 weeks, there's an influence that's about coming back to your integrity. You already know. And focusing on work that feels like a calling. So this is from, as you guys can see, put down here for you, July 10th, July 12th. It's hard to even say anything because that's exactly what I felt again as I read it, and it said to actually focus on work that feels like a calling. So I've been I've been figuring out ways to make this more succinct and aligned with everything that I have envisioned. And as I've been doing so, it's all been just doing like this. So reading this is only confirmation of that. And again, as the universe speaking back to you and reverberating what you put out. And so this is an incredible time to devote yourself to meaningful work and access your passion. Of course, you have to trust yourself and trust your talents in order to really open up what it is that you're actually, into. And I like what they said about diversifying what you're inspired by to actually see. You may be inspired by a lot, like I am. Music, I like heavily. I love different kinds of, what is that? I want to say media, picture wise. And so, picture, video, and how that's intermixed with media. So, like, it's however you're inspired and figuring out how you can be a part of that and create that yourself so that you can do that for somebody else. That's what's most important in doing and creating that service, fulfilling that space, that need. Intention. This influence is encouraging you and others around you to have integrity around your work and projects. The intention is to help you focus on what feels sacred to you rather than being driven by status. Before I even finish this, they're going in. But that sacred, that word sacred is so powerful. When I was watching the Aware movie again on Gaia, it's very good. Uh, One of the scientists said I mentioned in the last video, like you could be a scientist and not thinking that you would now be studying NDEs or OBs. That's almost exactly what happened to this scientist. And he pretty much switched over his focus into something that's more of the esoteric spiritual realm because he realized after having experienced himself that it is real and it is prevalent after having a magic mushroom experience, that the way that he thought things were not, and that all is much more profound and integrated and integral to everything else surviving. Everything is like this and interwoven, and we always come back to Indra's beads or Indra's threads, which shows that each of us do have that blue woven, that light blue, which is like the color of prana, that light blue thread going between each of us all that actually shows and takes us back to source, or actually shows us all as points and nodes that are the connection back into source. And so it's so powerful. Again, Aware is the documentary, and when you again can regard something that you create, your work, not something that you just create, like your work, what is dire to you and is your dharma, what you know you have been put here. When you work in that and you know that it is sacred, and that you like, that's the connection that I've established with this. When you know that it is sacred and you know that you're doing what you were put here to do, something else is produced, not just the product, not just the video. It is a refinement of the character. It's like putting the character through the fire and actually being able to remold it through utilizing these values and these different, it's a lot of different elements. I like to say you start to refine self by the way that it is relating to these different elements. And now that it does have different elements to actually work with, you may have been missing two of the elements. Now that you have a more complete palette of the elements, you now have and are more refined to actually create or go through the alchemical process more ready at hand, and to go through a little bit more smoothly. No matter what, the refinement is going to be as hot and as I guess I'll say as crucial as it needs to be, and as crucial as you make it. Really, is how much you decide that you want to keep resisting letting go, how much you keep wanting to hold on, how much you want to keep creating other projections to stay out of what you really need to be within. So as much as you need to, like I said, you will create that, and you decide that you get to get outside of that. And the way that we do so is, again, reintroducing ourselves and creating a new relationship to the different elements that are. So the intention is to help you focus on what feels sacred to you, rather than being driven by status, financial reward, or approval from others. If you feel burned out, that's a sign you are committing your energy to work that is not feeding your soul. Wow, I like how they say that, and I like that whenever I talk about diet, I always say it's a holistic diet. It's all around the globe. We're looking at everything. We're not talking about just the food we eat. We're talking about the books that we digest. We're talking about the vision, the visual, what we're just sitting here and streaming and watching, whether that is looking at billboards, whether that is just watching TV that we're choosing. We're really talking consciously. And then also what we're talking about, we're allowing, because those things also run across here, and we allow those things to also seep in. So we're talking about a full diet, and when they say that you are going to be burned out, that's a sign. It's just like when you're eating food. When you eat some fast food, some fries, the burger, all of that stuff, as opposed to eating something like, let's say, some broccoli and maybe some salmon, and as well as portion control. But when you eat in the proper frame that you are meant to, and actually give yourself what you need to, you don't want to go to sleep and feel sluggish. You actually get boosted up, and then you want to utilize that energy that you got, because it's a boost, it's not a downer. But a lot of us, just like what this is talking about, just like work, our work is like our food. We are digesting something that is not actually fuel for us, it's actually a siphon. So when we think we're about to, okay, I'm about to go da 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 after this meal, no, you're not, because the meal is actually taking the energy that you had. And so I like what they said. As always, the pattern's on point. So we're gonna go to the next slide. Key takeaways. Use this surge of energy. I like how they just, use the surge of energy to tap into your most authentic motivations. Again, when you tap into these are things I thought, hey, I'm gonna go to sleep because it's 12. It's going like, nah. I instantly knew that I needed to do these videos, and I thought about the energy that I would actually get from these videos. Not just letting that be the motivator, but knowing that I needed to do them, and knowing that that was fulfilling something that I needed to feel. It's like fulfilling your soul's contract, your spirit's contract knows this is what I'm supposed to do, so let me go ahead and do it. No matter how tired I feel, no matter how down I feel, no matter what, because again, the refinement is within that work. So as I do this, I become a better whatever it is that I become. Maybe it is a speaker, maybe it is just a gauge of energy, maybe it is understanding how to formulate thought. Whatever that is, I'm refining, and that is refining the soul, and the soul starts to learn. As if we think the brain learns by doing something new or repetition, then what do we think the soul does? Even though it knows what it already knows, it starts to remember, and we start to key in to those things that are innate to us. Prioritize completing tasks that satisfy you. And remember that you're the only one who determines what feels meaningful. I was gonna stop, but man, that second part is even more powerful than the first one. That satisfies, some people may think, oh, you're gonna indulge. Of course, we do all things in balance. So you're not supposed to overindulge, but you're supposed to do things that actually bring you pleasure. Like some people would be like, oh, which is wild to say this when you're in a certain frequency, but when you are also in a certain frequency, you can see all ranges of frequency. So, but it's wild to think that some people be like, oh, well, I'm supposed to, I'll say it like this, my own boss, one of our people quit, and And my old boss talking to me because I'm still working with him. She said, so and so said that this ain't fun no more. She said, work ain't supposed to be fun. And it was just so funny to see how okay, like that's part of your paradigm, right? So well, what if somebody else obviously doesn't believe that? Like, and we could say it was the age thing or something like that, but the coworker was actually in the same age with them, like not even by like, let's just say they were both 52, like, or 47, like 35, like, you feel me? Like, no matter what, they were right there. And so it was wild. But again, that's a paradigm. And most people would actually go and agree with that and be like, yeah, what I work is not supposed to be fun, but that is the way that you think. So that is the way that your matrix will start to form. Now, if you start to say that's unacceptable, you may be mad for the moment, be like, oh, my job's not fun. But if you really stick with that, again, we're talking about refinement. So you will start to change. And because you will start to change and say, okay, well, maybe my job is supposed to be fun. Because you have started to play with that idea, you will start to change, start to work with elements of that idea. Some things will start to unlock within you that you will not be able to explain.